Friday, the U.S. Department of Justice released over 3 million pages of files related to the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted sex offender whose connections span the globe. This unprecedented document dump was mandated by a law passed by Congress, forcing the Trump administration to make the files public. The DOJ's review process involved hundreds of attorneys, and the White House reportedly had no oversight over the release. The files contain references to powerful figures, including Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Bill Clinton, and a former Obama White House counsel. As reporters and the public sift through the documents, new details and controversies are emerging about the extent of Epstein's network and the government's handling of the case. Among the millions of pages, the FBI compiled a list of sexual assault allegations related to President Donald Trump. Most of these allegations came from unverified tips, and officials noted that some were second-hand or lacked contact information. The document was briefly removed from the DOJ website due to overload, but was later restored. The White House responded by emphasizing that the files may contain fake or sensationalist claims, as all public tips were included. While some allegations were followed up, none were found credible or resulted in charges. The files also mentioned similar allegations against Bill Clinton, who has denied any wrongdoing related to Epstein. The DOJ released a diagram mapping out Jeffrey Epstein's inner circle, including known associates like Ghislaine Maxwell and Jean-Luc Brunel. However, several names and photos were redacted, sparking criticism from victims and advocates who argue that the redactions were inconsistent. The diagram also lists Epstein's personal chef, pilots, and other employees, none of whom were charged. The files highlight the ongoing debate about transparency and accountability in the investigation, as many still question who else may have been involved, and why some individuals were never prosecuted. Documents reveal that prosecutors once considered charging more than just Epstein and Maxwell. A draft indictment from the 2000s described a conspiracy involving 3 unnamed employees who allegedly facilitated appointments between Epstein and underage girls. Despite the evidence, these individuals were never charged, and Epstein ultimately secured a plea deal in 2007 that allowed him to avoid more serious federal charges. The files detail how the non-prosecution agreement was reached and the Justice Department's later review, which found poor judgment but no professional misconduct by the prosecutor involved. The files include harrowing accounts from Epstein's victims, some of whom described being abused as minors and pressured to recruit others. Notably, some survivors found their names unredacted in the documents, raising concerns about privacy and the DOJ's redaction process. Despite assurances that victim privacy was a priority, mistakes occurred, and advocates are urging the department to address these issues. The release of these testimonies is seen as a step toward transparency, but it also exposes the challenges of balancing public interest with the protection of survivors. The newly released emails and documents shed light on Epstein's connections with influential figures. Elon Musk exchanged emails with Epstein about visiting his private island, despite previously denying any association. Bill Clinton's name appears throughout the files, with Epstein pleading the fifth on all questions about their relationship during a 2016 deposition. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak and his wife stayed at Epstein's New York apartment multiple times, and their correspondence reveals a close relationship. These revelations continue to fuel speculation about the extent of Epstein's network and the influence he wielded. Emails between Epstein and Kathy Rumler, a former Obama White House counsel, show a surprisingly close relationship, with Rumler expressing affection and accepting travel arrangements from Epstein. She has since stated that their relationship was professional and regrets knowing him. Similarly, Howard Lutnick, now Commerce Secretary, was revealed to have continued contact with Epstein long after claiming to have cut ties. Lutnick even invited Epstein to a Clinton fundraiser in 2015. These communications highlight how Epstein maintained relationships with high-profile individuals across politics and business. Files also provide insight into Epstein's final days in prison. His cellmate, Releaesed, recounted pleading with Epstein not to kill himself, only for Epstein to die by suicide shortly after Releaesed was transferred. The release includes booking photos and financial documents related to Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime associate, showing her assets and transfers. These details add to the complex narrative of Epstein's life, his death, and the ongoing investigations into his associates. The Justice Department outlined its process for reviewing and redacting the Epstein files in a letter to Congress. Over 500 attorneys participated in the review, with a focus on protecting victim identities. Still, around 200,000 pages were withheld or redacted due to privileges or technical issues. The DOJ is expected to submit a formal report to Congress, listing all government officials and politically exposed persons found in the files. As the public and media continue to analyze the documents, questions remain about accountability, transparency, and the full scope of Epstein's influence.